Hello, dear viewers. Today we're stepping into a moment that many of you have been waiting for. The new house, the gift filled with all of Truong's mother's love sacrifice and hope for tieuunu and little Dewey, is finally complete. The walls still carry the scent of fresh paint. The wide porch welcomes the breeze, and the small wooden gate that tieuunu once joked about just looking at it makes my heart warm, is now ready to open for a reunited family. But behind all that joy, there's still one thing everyone is holding their breath for. Will Truong remember everything before it's too late? Will he find his way back, take tieuunu's hand, and carry Dewey into their new home, a place where every brick holds his mother's love and expectations? Truong's journey to regain his memories has reached a turning point. Just one spark, just one memory waking up could change everything. Let's wait and see together. Will Truong make it back in time? And when that reunion finally happens, how emotional will it be? Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the most beautiful and heartfelt moments in the love story of Truong and tieuunu. When the first rays of sunrise touch the bamboo tops at the edge of the garden, thin, golden light slipped through the leaves like soft silk, falling onto the ground in long, warm streaks. The morning air was so fresh that just one deep breath made tieuunu's heart feel lighter. From a distance came the sound of birds calling, blending with the breeze sweeping across the orange grove behind the house, a peaceful melody she had grown familiar with over the years. She woke up early as usual, but today there was something different in her chest, a mix of nervousness and quiet happiness. She knew this would be a special day, because the new house that Truong's mother built for her and little Dewey was almost finished. Tieuunu stood up and gently pulled open the curtain. The view outside looked the same as every other morning, yet her mind was full of memories. She remembered the days before this house existed, when she and her son lived in the old leaky place, where they had to put basins everywhere each time it rained. She remembered the nights she and Truong sat by the fire, talking about the future, about a home strong enough to keep out the sun and the rain, a home where their son could run freely, and where the two of them could wake up each morning and smile at each other. Now that dream had taken shape. It was real in every brick, every tile, every plank of freshly scented wood. It was filled with Truong's mother's love, the hard work of the builders, and the sweat she herself had poured into it. Her eyes grew misty at the thought. But today wasn't a day for crying. Today was a day for finishing a dream. When she stepped into the yard, the builders were already gathered. The sounds of talking, hammering, and measuring filled the air. The energetic rhythm of people dedicated to their craft. In the soft morning light, everyone moved faster than usual, but carried a joy that was easy to see. She knew why. Everyone understood that this wasn't just another construction project. It was the new home of a young mother who had gone through so much to raise her child. And it was a gift from Truong's mother, a gesture of acceptance, of making amends, and a blessing for tieuunu and Truong's love. Tiêunu joined the workers right away. She didn't shy away from anything carrying bricks, holding a post, steady wiping cement off a wooden table, or rearranging scattered tools. To her, every task mattered. Each time she touched a brick or laid her hand on the wall, she felt warmth, life, and hope growing together with the house. An older builder looked at her and smiled kindly. "Little girl, this house suits you so well. Watching you work makes me feel for you." Tiêunu smiled, her face flushed in the sun. "I just want to help a little. This house means everything to me and my son." The workers all smiled. In their eyes was respect for a woman full of strength, love, and gratitude. By the time the sun rose high, the last brick was set. Then came the final red roof tiles. The team stepped back to look at the finished work. And Tiêunu, she froze. Before her stood not a frame of wood, not scattered materials, but a complete house. A real home. The home she had been waiting for. She ran her hand gently along the newly painted wooden door, and it felt like touching something miraculous. At that moment, the memory of the day Truong's mother brought her to see the half-built house flashed clearly in her mind. Truong's mother had said, "I know you've suffered a lot. You deserve this home." Those words had brought her to tears back then. And today, now that the house was finished, the feeling was even stronger. This home wasn't just a place to live. It was love. It was acceptance. It was a promise of the future. By late afternoon, the wind drifted in from the fields, carrying the smell of warm soil and sunlight lingering on bamboo leaves. Tiêunu stood on the porch and closed her eyes. She imagined the moment Truong returned. She pictured him walking through the gate, eyes filled with surprise and emotion. Dewey running toward him and hugging his legs, and herself standing by the doorway, smiling in quiet, complete happiness. She knew Truong was still on his journey to recover his memories. Every day she prayed that today would bring him one step closer. But no matter how long it took, her heart held one certainty: Truong would come back. And they would walk into this home together with all their love, trust, and the new pages of their life. She opened her eyes and looked at the house. A soft, hopeful smile appeared. The day might not be far away. And when Truong returns, she believes the light from this home will keep them together forever. That afternoon, the sky was clearer than usual. Soft white clouds drifted slowly, as if making room for an important moment that was about to happen. Tiêunu's housewarming day had finally arrived. The new house, finished not even a week ago, was now decorated with a few bougainvillea pots, some white ribbons, and a few simple wooden chairs that made the place feel warm and welcoming. Truong's mother had cooked many dishes, and the neighbors had come over to help. Tiêunu wore a cream-colored áo dye, the one she only brought out for special occasions. Dewey stayed close by, but kept running around the new house, excitedly exploring every corner. His bright little face looked like a tiny sun, making everyone around smile. More and more villagers arrived. Laughter, congratulations, and chatter filled the yard, carried gently by the evening breeze. Everyone was happy because Tiêunu and her son finally had a solid, beautiful place to call home. And Tiêunu, deep in her heart, was overflowing with joy, yet holding on to a quiet, aching sense of longing. Truong still hadn't returned. She kept telling herself to stay calm, to stay hopeful. But every time she heard a motorbike pass by the gate, her heart would jump, then fall again. She believed he was still somewhere out there, doing everything he could to find his memories to come back to her and their child. Sometimes she caught Truong's mother glancing toward the gate with the same hope she carried in her own chest. And then, in a single moment, everything changed. As the sun began to set, warm golden light spread across the yard. Suddenly, the sound of a motorbike echoed from a distance. Not very loud, but loud enough to make the entire gathering freeze. Tiêunu turned instinctively. Her heart clenched so tight she could barely breathe. The motorbike stopped right at the gate. A man stepped off. In that instant, all the sounds around them faded. Only the soft rustle of wind across the roof tiles remained, and the pounding in Tiêunu's chest. The guests looked at one another. Someone whispered, "Truong, he's back." Truong's mother stood up so quickly, her chair scraped the ground, her hands trembling. But Tiêunu, she couldn't move. Her eyes widened, afraid that what she was seeing might disappear if she blinked. Truong walked through the gate. His gaze swept across the yard over the familiar faces, and then stopped exactly where it needed to stop, on Tiêunu standing there in her cream ao dye, eyes filled with tears. The moment their eyes met, something powerful ignited inside him. Images came rushing back all at once like a river breaking its dam. Her voice, her smile, the evenings by the fire, their promise under the bougainvillea trellis. The moment he held her hand in the hospital right before his memories slipped away. And the sound of little Dewey calling Dad something he had forgotten, yet somehow his heart never let go. Everything crashed back into place. Vivid, overwhelming, painful, but full of love. He walked toward her, step by step. Tiêunu. His voice was raw. Just hearing her name in his voice made her knees weaken. Truong, do you remember? He nodded, eyes red. I remember everything. All of it. I remember you, our promise, our child, everything we went through. Tiêunu broke down in tears. She covered her mouth, but the tears streamed out uncontrollably. Truong's mother hurried over and wrapped her arms around them, too emotional to speak. Even the guests stood silently, moved beyond words. And little Dewey, he wobbled over, tugged at the hem of Truong's shirt. Daddy, you came home. Truong dropped to his knees and hugged his son tightly. His shoulders shook. Daddy's home. Daddy is really home, my boy. In that moment, Tiêunu knew every day she had waited was worth it. He was back. Not the distant, memory-lost version of him, but the real Truong, the man who loved her, protected her, and promised her a future. That housewarming became a day no one would ever forget. It was more than moving into a new home. It was the day their family found its way back to each other. Tiêunu took Truong's hand and led him inside. The house glowed warmly under the yellow lights, like destiny itself was holding them in an embrace. Trung smiled softly. It's a beautiful home, but it'll be even more beautiful now that I can come back here every day with you and our son. She rested her head on his shoulder. I waited for you every single day. I'm sorry for making you wait so long, but from today on, I'm never leaving you again. And under the evening sky, filled with laughter and the gentle hum of voices, a family finally became whole again. On the first morning after Trung returned, the sound of roosters echoed from the back of the garden, carrying through the bamboo still heavy with dew. Soft sunlight slipped through the wooden window frame of the new house, falling onto the clean tile floor like a warm golden blanket of peace. In the kitchen, still smelling faintly of fresh wood, Tiêunu was preparing breakfast. The gentle sizzle of shallots in the pan and the spreading aroma made the whole room feel warmer. It had been so long, far too long, since she'd felt a morning that was this complete. Suddenly, footsteps sounded behind her. Steady, not rushed, but enough to make her heart stop for a moment. Because during all the months when Trung had lost his memory, those footsteps never walked straight toward her. They always felt distant. She turned around. Trung stood at the kitchen doorway, his hair still touched with morning mist, his eyes clear and deep, just like the old days. No confusion, no unfamiliar distance. This time, his eyes were the eyes of the man she once loved, the man she had waited for until her heart was tired. He walked closer and gently placed his warm hand on her shoulder. Let me help you. Just a simple sentence. But to Tiêunu, it was the sentence of a man who had truly come home. She smiled, her eyes glistening. You're here. That's all I need. And Trung didn't just stand there watching. He helped her wash the rice, rinse the vegetables, light the stove. He was a little clumsy, water splashed onto his shirt. He dropped a bowl with a loud clink, making Tiêunu jump, while he laughed awkwardly, turning red. But that clumsiness was happiness. Their laughter filled the new kitchen. Not loud, not dramatic, just warm enough that anyone hearing it would know the house had finally come alive again, filled with love and human warmth. When breakfast was almost ready, little Dewey came running out of the bedroom, eyes half closed, hair messy, like a little bird's nest. Trung bent down, picked him up, and spun him around, making the boy squeal with laughter. Daddy, I'm dizzy. Watching them, Tiêunu felt her nose sting. So many nights she had held her son, silently wishing for a morning exactly like this. And now it was real. Breakfast that day was simple: chicken porridge, fried eggs, and cucumber. But to them, it was a reunion breakfast. The warmth in the room made it feel like even the kitchen itself was smiling. Trung looked at Tiêunu, then at their son, his voice trembling. I missed so much. I'm sorry for everything. Tiêunu shook her head and placed her hand gently over his. What matters is you're home. And in that moment, with the soft morning light falling across their faces, it felt as if every pain, every long day of waiting was finally carried away by the breeze. From that day on, the house was always filled with laughter. Every morning, Truong woke up early and drove tieuunu and little Dui on his old motorbike, the same one that had carried her through so many storms years ago. The engine rattled and clanked, but to them, it was a treasure of memories. Dewey sat in front, pointing everywhere with excitement. "Daddy, look, that's Uncle Num's chicken. Daddy, that mango tree is bigger than me," Trung laughed. "You're going to be bigger than that tree one day." Tieu sat behind him, arms gently wrapped around his waist, resting her cheek against his warm, broad back. She felt like she had stepped straight into her youth again, a time when just sitting behind him made the whole world feel peaceful. Every afternoon, Trung helped his mother plant flowers in the front yard, fix the bamboo fence, and clean the garden. He worked hard as if he was trying to make up for everything he had missed. Sometimes when he looked up, he'd catch Tieu staring at him. She didn't say a word, just smiled, and that smile alone made him feel like the luckiest man alive. Behind the house was a small, empty plot. Truong's mother suggested turning it into a vegetable garden. And from that day, the garden became their family time. Truong dug the soil. Tieu sprinkled seeds, and Dewey watered the plants. Or more accurately, watered his parents more than the vegetables. One time water splashed straight into Truong's face. He pretended to frown water like that, and the vegetables will grow into fish. Dewey burst out laughing. "Grow fish, Daddy. I like fish." Their laughter filled the whole garden. Tieu looked at the two of them, and tears rolled down her cheeks, not from sadness, but from overwhelming happiness. By sunset, they would sit together and watch flocks of birds fly back to their nests. Those evenings were so beautiful that, if she could, she would have kept them forever. At night, the warm yellow lights glowed throughout the house. Dewey slept between them, hugging both his parents like two giant teddy bears. Truong tried to tell a fairy tale, but every few sentences Dewey interrupted. "Daddy, can wolves swim? Daddy, what phone does the princess use?" Truong looked helplessly at Tieu. "If he keeps asking like this, I won't finish before next year." Dewey giggled so hard he fell asleep mid-laugh. Truong brushed the boy's hair and turned to his wife, speaking softly. "There was a time I thought I'd never have this again." Tieu held his hand. "I believed if we loved enough, you'd find your way back." He kissed her forehead gently, but enough to make her heart tremble. That night, the three of them slept together in a peace deeper than anything they'd felt in years. Ever since Truong returned, his mother seemed younger again. She laughed, talked more, and visited them every day. One afternoon, while Tieu was washing dishes, his mother stood beside her and whispered, "Seeing the three of you like this, I'm so happy. My son finally found his home again." Tieu's eyes grew warm. "Thanks to you. I have this today." His mother squeezed her hand. "No, it's because you never gave up." Just one sentence. But it was enough to make Tieu choke up. On the weekend, Truong took his wife and son to the fields where they used to go on dates. The wind blew through Tieunu's dress, and the smell of young rice filled the air. Truong taught Diêp how to fly a kite. The boy ran across the soft grass, laughing so hard his voice echoed across the field. Tieu watched them, her heart full. It had been so long since she had seen Truong so carefree and bright. Sometimes he'd run past her and lightly brush her hand, just a small touch, but enough to make her heart beat like it did in the early days of love. When the sun turned red and began to set, Truong walked over and wrapped his arms around her waist from behind. We're finally at peace now, aren't we? Tieu nodded gently. Yeah, truly at peace. That evening, as they sat on the porch, listening to the wind rustling through the pomelo blossoms, Truong suddenly took her hand. His eyes were serious, but full of love. I want us to have a real wedding, a proper one, with you, our son, my mother, and this home as our witness. Tieu froze, tears spilling instantly. Truong tightened his hold on her hand. This time I'll be the one walking you into the ceremony, not in a blurry memory, but in a real, complete moment. She burst into tears in his arms, tears no longer born from pain but from healing. His mother watched from behind, smiling quietly. Diêp shouted excitedly, "Daddy and Mommy are getting married. I'll be the baby groom." Everyone laughed. Warm yellow light lit up their faces. A little family stepping into a brand new chapter. Their happiness wasn't made of big things. It lived in simple breakfasts, in afternoons flying kites, in a child's laughter, in the arms of the man who found his memories and came home whole again. From that moment on, their lives opened into a new chapter, one filled with peace, completeness, and the love they had spent their whole youth fighting to protect. My dear viewers, if you've made it to this part of the story, I'm sure your heart is beating just as fast as mine after seeing the moment Truong held Tieunu's hand and asked her to marry him. They've gone through so much pain, so many moments where they almost lost each other, only to finally find their way back to a simple, complete kind of happiness like this. And now, I want to hear your feelings. What do you think helped Truong truly find his family again? Was it his memories coming back? Was it Tieunu's love? Or maybe the innocence of little Diêp that touched a father's heart? Or perhaps, do you believe all of these things played a part in bringing them back together? Please leave a comment under this video. Which moment in this episode touched your heart the most? If you were Tieu, would you forgive and wait like she did? How do you imagine their wedding will turn out? Every comment from you helps this story feel more alive, and it gives me the motivation to create the next episodes with even more emotion and depth. Don't be shy to share, because who knows, maybe your thoughts are exactly what many others are feeling, but haven't said out loud. I'll be reading every single comment. Thank you for always being here, following the love story of Truong Tieu and little Diêp. See you in the next episode. Iska